Hello everyone, right, now I know I said I was going to do the part 3 and finish this wall for today and have the video up. However, those of you who have been keeping an eye on Twitter, or have actually been procrastinating from work all day like I have, may know that Bethesda have graced us with not only the trailer but the release date for the Wasteland Workshop DLC. I'm going to put a link in the trailer in the description, as well as a little annotation for you guys to click through. I highly recommend taking a look at that first and then coming back to my video. It's only about 2 minutes long. The release date, by the way, is going to be next week. And I believe someone tweeted me the price the other day, but earlier rather. But the price is going to be £3.99 in pounds for the UK, and I think it's about $7.99, I think. I have no idea what euros are, probably about 5. Right, anyway, I've cut up the best bits from the trailer, so I won't spoil everything for, well, I will, but you won't have to watch the whole thing on my channel again. But anyway, let's get right into it, shall we? So, this is the first image we see after they've done the little kind of, intro blurb of the whole trailer. Now, first off, this is actually Spectacle Island. You can tell from the trees in the background and just the general shape, but obviously what you've immediately noticed is nothing that you see here is actually already existing in the area. So all of this is built by the player. Now, obviously, some of it's new, some of it's rather pre-existing stuff that we can already make, like, the foundations. But right in front of us, we can see we can actually place the little oil lanterns, which is going to be awesome. One theme that I've noticed from this DLC a lot is we're getting a lot of decent new lighting. That's a huge part, which is absolutely grand. At the back, at the side of the building, you can see we're getting little, I guess, frame mesh flame barrels. I don't know if we're getting different types, but that means we're going to get a bit more of a wastelandy style lighting. Also, we've actually got street lamps, those big metal street lamps you can see there, which are going to be really cool. Basically, I think they're the same model as the ones from Sanctuary, except you can actually wire them up. And on the side of that building there, you've got 2 new wall lights, kind of in the style of the high-tech lighting, except looking at them, they don't look too flashy, which is quite nice. And then obviously the most notable thing is the fact is that building is made out of completely new building materials. We're basically getting concrete windows, as you can see. It's a whole new building section, which is going to be absolutely awesome. Right, let's move on to the next part. So in the next part, they move on to a new section, which I'm going to show you in a second. But as we're going into this area, this is actually Jamaica Plain. Now, someone pointed this out on Twitter, and this actually completely eluded me when I was initially editing this and kind of pulling, chopping up the trailer. As you can see, we're in Jamaica Plain, and that is very clearly a water purifier inside the main building. Now, there's no water in Jamaica Plain, so I don't know what they've done, whether this is... I don't know if this is a mistake, because I have seen one screenshot, in fact, where you can actually see a water purifier in an area, but I don't know if it's actually on water, so I didn't add it in. But it might be that we're either getting a different type of water purifier, or maybe there's a way, because, people have pointed out they actually have rain catchers at the top. So something I wanted to kind of draw everyone's attention to, that is definitely Jamaica Plain, and these are definitely water purifiers inside Jamaica Plain. So hopefully that means we might have some water purifiers without the need to necessarily be on a body of water, which would make sense as we've now got food, which you'll see in a second, that we can actually grow without actually placing on pre-existing dirt. Speaking of which, as you can see, we now finally have actual planters, which is absolutely awesome. The idea that we can actually, place crops inside buildings, in areas that are generally a little bit awkward, especially, in those certain areas where you just don't have much dirt. I mean, I think the mechanist layer is probably the big one, which is probably why this now becomes a viable settlement, because we can actually have indoor planters inside, and you can have human settlers if you want. I don't know if they're going to give us the different styles. You may notice this is quite a wide planter. I don't know if we're going to get the planters from Grey Garden or not. I'm hoping so. If you saw in the menu a second ago, it did look like this was the only, it's just the only misc item, but we'll see. I'm hoping, but regardless, indoor planters for the goddamn win. So next on, things started getting a little bit more technically advanced. As you can see, they've added, this is explained in the trailer, but this is basically a decontamination arch for us to use, which is going to be cool. The dialogue in the trailer does hint towards it actually removing your radiation. I don't know if it'll be completely remove it, whether it's quite hard to build, but it looks pretty grand. I'm hoping the idea I want to make a kind of, decontamination lab where I have these, rug glitched or placed indoors rather than outside. Also, do you see that in the back? Fusion core generators. They've got another image where you can see one, which I will pop up right now so you can take a look at it. And as you can see, this is the one with the planters as well, but you can see the fusion core generators in the back. So this is going to be cool. We're getting a lot of much more techie stuff in this one, which, as you will see when we get onto the traps as well. But before that, they do show us quite a bit, as you can see right now, of the new structures tab. Now, this is actually a completely new structures tab, and you saw in the menu right there, it's actually under structure. So we've got metal, we've got wood, and now we have concrete. When this seems to be, from the dialogue, a mix, and from what it looks like, a mix of concrete and corrugated steel. So this is very much more that kind of slightly irradiated bunker vibe. We've also got windows, which is cool. This is a lot more secure building material, which I think is going to make us Wasteland survivalists quite happy. I know I'm quite chuffed when I do my survival playthrough building out of that. So this part's pretty cool, because this is demonstrating some of the kind of mini decoration kind of stuff that we get. So firstly, you can see they've actually labeled the boxes with what they're going to store. So you've got gun storage, etc., which is pretty cool. So I think this is the letter kit. It's a little bit confusing because we get the pipe lighting, and then we get these letter kits, which I think is for actually, labeling crates. I thought the letter kits were the actual pipe lighting, which you're going to see, you'll see later down the line with, where it just says, Deathclaw fights, that kind of thing. But then you've also got, I believe they're called I think it's called a Nixie tube lighting, which is the 0 and the 2, which is very, 0 and the 2 rather, which is a very kind of science fiction little lighting. I'm assuming we just have it. I don't know if we have letters there as well, or it's just up to, it's binary numbers, so 0 to 9 or whatever. But it looks pretty cool. You can also obviously see this is the interior, so what the actual concrete metal combo ceilings look like. We've got these, I don't know if that's actually just another platform on top of another platform there, or if that's actually part of some kind of indoor raised bit, which looks pretty cool. And they've also, noticed they've got a smaller version as well, so we're getting effectively, what I imagine is everything within the wooden tab, not the metal tab, because that one's obviously quite limited, will actually be part of the concrete structures tab. Anything else that I've missed in this little image, by the way, point out. I can see the taxidermied head in the back as well, but there's anything, I can't find my glasses. But it looks pretty cool. So next on are the actual new traps they're adding. Seeing spring traps, spike traps. They're looking pretty brutal. Now, twist, I never really used traps. They were a little bit dissatisfying. The main issue, to be honest, was the fact that you have to repair them after you've used them. It just makes the whole thing quite tedious because they're not practical. You don't want to have to go around all your traps repairing them. So I'm hoping maybe they've added a new way for you to actually reset them, maybe through just like attaching them to a terminal. I can just push a button and it just resets everything. Also, did you notice that just in the first section there? Image pop up now. We're finally getting light bulbs on wires, actual like fairy lights. It looks like they're quite a set place, so we're not going to be able to have them a bit more dynamic. Like I was hoping we could have them actually like the wires going between pylons, but that makes me very happy. You're going to see a lot of those alongside all the other lighting surrounding Davy settlements. It's going to be grand. So moving on to what I guess Bethesda consider potentially the set piece of the whole DLC is actually the capturing live creatures. As you can see, this is a Mirelurk King, and in the dialogue for the actual trailer, they do describe it as the beta wave emitter being the thing that allows you to pacify the more violent creatures. Also, and you see this frame here, we can actually capture bandits as well. Someone on Twitter did point out that this might be maybe a chem lab. I don't think like a little kind of chem storage area. I think that the note about the chems is just the character of the cage, and allow you to kind of capture and kidnap raiders. Also, now the next part is as you'll see now, you can actually have cats in the game, which is pretty cool. However, if you go back to the still image, which I managed to slow down while they were doing the trailer, you can see them cycling through the menu. And you can probably notice, first thing, that you can see mole rats, which is pretty cool. So you can capture mole rats, hopefully as pets. I want a little mole rat. Just, you know, it suits a chem fiend. Shut up, it's cool. But also, the next part is dogs. So I think we can finally, because I know those of you, have met that character in the game, you can actually buy pet dogs to act as guards for your settlements. Hopefully this means we'll have a lot more. I don't know if it's going to be actual random, so there'll be a new skin, like the dog you buy, or will it actually be, will you be capturing raider dogs, for example? But that's pretty cool, and the idea of having cats in your settlements, it's just, we want cats everywhere. Cats are fun, cats are cool. So now we get to the kind of the closing part, I guess. I'm getting close to it anyway, where they're kind of just demonstrating all the little things that you can actually make in the game. Now, you probably noticed already from that starting image that you actually get candles right next to the cage. You just saw them there. The idea being of just kind of placing candles around is quite cool. They're actually from, you probably saw them in the workshop house, and I believe they're kind of dotted around a few settlements as well. That'll be good for a bit more of a survivalist vibe. Also, obviously, you can see the new pipe lighting, and also you can see the new style, or a different style of the lamppost, which is a bit more of a warmer vibe. It's got more of a kind of a yellowier light. And then also there is that death claw taxidermied head, which is going to be pretty cool. And then also it kind of gives you a better idea of the concrete as well. So you've got those kind of much more of a rustic vibe, with obviously those big kind of chain link, well, slightly chain link mesh windows as well. So it's going to be very, very cool. Very cool building material, definitely. So I know on the taxidermy, actually, just at the end of that part there, they do show you some of the some of the creatures you can taxidermy. I don't know if this is everything, but as you can see, you've got, what is it, those weird, annoying wasp things, I can't remember the name, death claws, the mutant hounds, there's the stag, which you already had, the Yao Guai, Marlot King, I think that's a Marlot Queen there. So it's pretty cool. Also, you see at the top there, I had actually noticed this in the... when you see the decontamination chamber, you've also got these tiny little floodlights as well. You see, like mini floodlights. I think the idea for this is to actually, for us to highlight, kind of, draw a little bit more attention to kind of the set pieces we have in our rooms. So it's going to be more, it's going to be really kind of allow you to have full control over your lighting, which especially as you're doing taxidermy is going to be very cool. So the trailer ends with just kind of a bit more of a flasher, shall we say, demonstration of how the lighting works. Now this is actually probably... I don't know which is my favourite part, but this is definitely up there. You probably heard me complain about lighting before, but so this is pretty much like, you can see right here, we've got, obviously that's the demonstration of the tube lighting with letter, whatever, the writing with actual lights. I don't know, I'm getting them confused now, which one is named which, shall we say, because I don't know what they're called in the menu. But that's the one we have right there. I'm curious whether this one is, we just place down the letters. I think that would probably be the most, that would make sense the most. So you don't actually, or whether, it's, you type it out and then it places something. A bit more awkward on console. PC would obviously be fine. Obviously, we've got that open sign there, which we've actually seen throughout the game, and I know people on PC have been using it in their settlements as well. Do you notice the street lights as well? That's cool, and they flash. That's pretty grand. I'm quite liking that. And then obviously a lot of these are flashing as well. You saw also the bulbs as well. The hanging normal standard bulbs were flashing also. So I'm assuming we get either they've just updated the models so you can now control them via a terminal. I'm hoping as well, because obviously actually I'm looking at it. Are they smaller versions of the light boxes? Can't really. That actually. Oh yeah. They're smaller light boxes. I've only literally just realised that looking at this image, unless it's just the angle of the photo, but it looks like they're smaller versions. I am really hoping, just randomly thinking of light boxes, that they change the power requirements of them, because having one light box use up 1 point of power is just way too much. But I guess obviously we won't need to be writing Sanctuary in giant lightbox letters that I did once and then I showed you guys, because that was what made my lag go crazy. Anyway, I'm excited as hell for this. As I said, it does come out next week on Tuesday, which is going to be grand, Tuesday the 12th. I'll put links to the, obviously as I told before, I will put link to the trailer. If you haven't watched it yet, well, you should have, but watch it anyway, because it's awesome. Watch it 12 times is what I intend to do, to see if I've missed anything. And I'll also link you to their little blog post about it, which does show a few of the still images that aren't in the trailer. And maybe there's some other things that you guys can pull out of there. Anything I've missed, please let me know. I think I've been reasonably thorough. Any theorizing as well, you know, things that you think they might be adding which maybe are hinted at or suggested by with the things that we have in front of us, that would be very cool. As always, you can leave a comment in the description, or you can follow me on Twitter at norespawns. As I said, the Wall Part 3 video will be tomorrow, but as you can see, this was big news, and I really wanted to kind of give you my thoughts and dissect the trailer a little bit. Anyway, you people, enjoy your day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.